Welcome to Restart Sailing number 12, John.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Simon. And I think this is a very much an ongoing thing. 12 shows sounds a lot, but we're going to be living with COVID-19 for quite a little while. And I think it's really good to encourage people just to keep on sailing. That's exactly where I'm coming from.
Yes, and we always came up with the three stages, and three seems to be the magic number. But I think we're now covering all three bases now, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will remember three things very well. In terms of coaching, we always try and give around three key points. It's just one of those human things, the way the brain works. Much like a lot of Western people will choose seven as their favorite number. The exception to that, I think Chinese people would choose eight. But three things is easy to remember, and that's why we do it that way. And if you look on that scale, we have the whole spectrum now, from people who are just doing casual sailing up to some international regattas, which we'll talk about later. And hopefully, all these full spectrum will interest the people on the Restart Sailing group, which
Yes.
continues to be very active and a really useful source of information, I hope.
Well, I think active and adaptive and timely, isn't it? As new things come out, people are spotting them, and I think we've over 2,000 members, and a lot of those are involved in organising events, clubs, classes, or businesses, and amongst those 2,000, I think we all spot something and can share it and start talking about it.
Absolutely, and I really encourage people to join the group who haven't, and if you're in the group, to contribute. And likes and shares and comments and these things really help. And this show is also on YouTube on the John Emmett Sailing channel. So if you subscribe to that, you'll get a notification when it comes up. But talking
So,
of three things,
yeah,
we have three levels.
well, and I guess this is just England, isn't it? But similar things elsewhere. But yeah, three levels, medium, high, or very high. But what is encouraging is that outdoor activity, which obviously sailing is there, is allowed in all categories.
Absolutely. And I would say if something's in a high category, like travel, that's something that you probably have some control over, the way you do travel. But yeah, sailing, if anything, should be in a low category, but that doesn't exist. I mean, we're in a very well ventilated area. The thing I really do support is the sort of regional control. So if somewhere is very high COVID numbers, that should have a different set of restrictions to somewhere that has low COVID numbers. And if you look around the world, the UK is doing, well compared to some countries and not so well compared to others. So, you know, this is the thing. If you look at Poland and Italy, they've recently gone to compulsory mask wearing, which makes a lot of sense, to just control things as much as possible.
So you're in Poland, I believe, John, and this week we've seen another major championship go ahead, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean it was a real highlight for me because the Brits in the standard rig did just so well. I'm a radial coach. This is actually the penultimate race, which was won by Sarah Douglas, but the battle for the European Championships was decided further down the fleet, as it often is. You'll see 407, that Netherlands boat, that's Marit Bouwmeester. She actually snatched the European title from Anne Marie. Anne Marie had just had an absolutely amazing regatta up to that point. We had a lot of tricky offshore winds, as you can probably guess from looking at the scores. Final day, we had flat hiking, northerly breeze, big waves, compared to the rest of the week. And yeah, she did what she needed to do, went out, won the last race. And when everyone came ashore, that's how you know it's a tight regatta, because I went up to Marit to interview her, and she didn't know she won, and nobody was sure who had won, and her coach didn't know because he had rushed off to get the rib off the water, because everyone was keen to get home. So yeah, the vibe was so good, as Anne Marie said in her interview. Actually, that's just her there, that Danish boat there. 5501. The vibe was fantastic because everybody was just so pleased to be racing again. So, little
Yes.
coaching point. Look at that big black cloud. That tells you which way to go up the next beat.
Yeah. Yeah. And did the event attract sort of a good entry and a good spread of countries?
Oh yeah, everybody was there. It must have been one of the toughest European Championships we've had, and actually you can see that from the scoring. Everybody was there, and I said the vibe was good because everybody was just so keen to race the laser class. They've been pretty lucky. They've worked very hard, obviously, but to have both the Worlds and the European Championships this year, because although this is very much a time for local sailing, we can't just stop everything. These big championships, they're an important part of the sailing calendar, and it's been a long time for a lot of people before they did any international racing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was great
Well,
to see it go ahead.
we do need that progression, don't we? We need something for people to aim for, and it's all part of the ecosystem, isn't it? And people buy sails and boats and things like that. So it's important to have all levels of events.
Well, hopefully we have Olympic Games in 2021, and that's probably the pinnacle of sailing in many respects. And countries needed this regatta to decide who they were going to select. You know, Poland and Germany and these countries, they're still deciding who goes to the games. The UK, we were in a fortunate position to be able to decide quite early. Those people have had, you know, more time to prepare than they thought they would otherwise.
Good. And it was good to see you doing plenty of social distancing interviews, John. I think this is what I'm going to see now from earlier in the week, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Maxime, she's one of the top Dutch sailors and
So,
definitely an up and coming talent.
so let's hear from yourself on scene.
Hi, I'm John Emmett. This is the second day of the Radial European Championships. The sun is shining, but it was a pretty tough day in the water. So I have Maxime. Can you just introduce yourself? My Dutch is not fantastic.
In Dutch?
No, just full name.
Oh, Maxime Jonker.
Thank you very much. And you were race winner of the second race today, which was pretty unstable conditions. You made it look easy. Tell us all about it.
Well, I start with a good start and it helped a lot. So, yeah, from then on is I think it was easier for me than for the rest of the fleet because I had such a lead after the start. Um,
But tell us what. Obviously, you must have been sailing fast and a good start.
yeah.
But what was it that enabled you to jump away from the fleet?
Well, I think the pressure was all over the place, so it was really hard to see it and to be in it. But I managed it quite well. So I was in the pressure at the start, and I, yeah, could cross the fleet on the right moment and stay in the pressure the whole upwind. So I think that was the moment that I made the jump on the fleet.
Did you feel under pressure at any points? Because obviously it's a high quality fleet. We're in round robin at the moment. We'll be going into Gold Fleet soon, but it's still a quality fleet. So unstable conditions, you must have felt a little bit of pressure at some points.
Yeah, well, I had a nice lead at the upwind mark and at the gate still, so well, that was quite comfortable. But then the wind dropped and it was quite tricky racing. And then, well, number two went left, number three went right, and I was like, huh, what should I do? But well, I just sailed my own upwind, and I think that was the good part of the race. Just yeah, look at my own numbers on my compass and my own pressure, and then well, I managed to win.
Yeah, and I mean, you did what you needed to do. And the old saying, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had a huge split behind you. So it's very hard to cover. I think you did just the right thing. Young athlete, you must be thinking about Marseille 2024. What's your plan for this cycle? Everything's changed quite a lot.
Well, yeah, for me, the next cycle has started. Well, my goal is a gold medal in 2024, and well, I have nothing to do with 2021 at the moment. So, yeah, my focus is on Paris 2024, and yeah.
And what have you guys been doing leading up to this? Because every country's had a different lockdown situation. What have the I've got to get it right now. What's Team Turbo been up to?
Well, we in the beginning we sailed a lot because well we didn't know when the racing was starting again. So yeah, we just continued training and well in Holland, so it was cold, but it was fun and it's good that we have our team, so we don't really need any other well training partners. So
So
that's
so for the benefit of those at home, who is Team Turbo? And you can say it in your best Dutch because I will get it wrong.
well Team Turbo is Marit Bouwmeester, Mirte Akkerman, and Daphne van der Vaart, and me. Yeah, so four Dutch girls and
And the coach.
Roelof Bouwmeester. Yeah, and now Jaap Sielhuis is helping us as well because well we're quite a big group, so it's nice to have two coaches here at the Europeans. Yeah.
And it's obviously going very well. There always seems to be lots of NEDs at the front of the fleet. And just to wish you all the best. We've got lots more racing, and I think you've made a fantastic start.
Right, so good to see something that's quite normal there, John, actually.
Yeah, just a couple of points about the interview. This is one of the earlier ones I did with Maxime, so it was actually before the mask wearing rules in all settings came into Poland. But actually, you can see it's quite a well ventilated area. It doesn't look like it from the sails, but that's why my camera kept on focusing and refocusing, because it was getting blown around a bit. And if you look in the top left of screen, you can see that little tent, and that's actually where everybody got food straight after racing. So if you look closely, you can see people walking out of that tent eating their pasta, which I thought was, a really nice little thing that they did for sailors after racing. It's funny how these little things just really make a big difference to the regatta. And I think it was really important to do those interviews and do the media just to showcase, another really good event which was
Yeah,
going on.
and to show real normality. But something that wasn't normal was this little bit of paper that came through, John.
Well, you say that. I think it will be quite normal in due course. So that the Dutch have got a really good team. They've been training very hard with their coach, but they had the rules change that when they go back from Poland, I think they probably now need to quarantine in Holland. It's become a red country for them, Poland that is. And a lot of countries, to enter them, you need to have a negative result for a COVID-19 test. So that means a lot of people have to have a test before they can fly home. So the club put on a test on the 13th of October, which was really good. So it meant that, if somebody was trying to get home, they could. I think for the Israelis, I think they're probably about to go into lockdown. I'm off to Italy for the Masters Europeans, and when you enter Italy, you need to have proof that you're COVID free. So I think this will become more and more common, and full marks to the Polish Yachting Association for making it very easy to do. A lot of airports now you can get testing, but certainly it means the transit a lot smoother if you've got all your paperwork in place. And even for the UK, when you enter the UK, you need to fill out paperwork 48 hours before you arrive. So I think this will become more normal. It's a bit like the mask wearing. I think after a couple of days of mask wearing, it just becomes normal. I wore an N95, which is called a FFP2 in terms of the British standard, for about 6 hours. So you had 2 masks a day, and obviously I didn't have it when I was on the water because it's just me in a rib and I'm very well ventilated. In fact, it seemed pretty cold in Poland, 11 degrees, and one of the race days I had a small bird try and hide in my rib underneath Tula's bag. Which I thought was interesting.
But good to see the sailing world adapting and having some sort of a normality. So in addition to obviously the Ladies Europeans in Poland, lots of events in the UK. I think the 29ers are back at Weymouth. I think this is
So my hope is to be at the youth nationals, and I'll talk to some of the runners and riders there. I mean, the academy's done a great job hosting events for a lot of classes. We're coming to the end of their season, so we're going to be into the multi-class racing over the winter, which is great. Keeps it going. I know some people will anyway not sail over the winter if it was a normal year, so just trying to encourage people to keep sailing. It's a very good thing. And for our winter training, I think we'll probably look at going to Villamore or somewhere like that, because it's starting to get a bit cold to change outside and eat outside, but clothing and everything is so much better than these days. It's certainly not a reason to stop sailing.
And it's great to see the sailing world adapting, really. And I think we've always been a flexible sport, haven't we? And this is showing it coming to the fore, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Anne-Marie said in her interview, just the vibe was so good because so many people were just happy to be there and racing. So the British sailing team that drove out just before, and I was chatting to Hannah Snellgrove, who was going out with Daisy Collingridge and James Gray, the coach, driving out, and right up to the last minute they weren't sure whether they were going, and I was the same. I flew out, and before I drove to the airport, I checked it was definitely going to be possible to fly. So it's an ever changing world. But,
I think it makes us more appreciative now of things going ahead, doesn't it?
Oh, actually, and sailing's done so well. There hasn't been a major problem in the sport, and we've obviously been doing the right things. So I think we should be free just to carry on doing that.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously been the odd person with COVID who's been at events, but they brought that in from elsewhere. But the evidence is it hasn't spread, And,
we haven't had the spread because we're virtually always in a meeting in an outdoor context, which is the safest.
And I think if you look at the numbers, it's inevitable that one person will have COVID at least, isn't it? And we just need to learn to live with it and minimise the risks, which is happening.
Absolutely, just a time for common sense. And as I said, I think people probably realised that they missed the sailing when they got the opportunity to get back to it.
Well, that's right. And I think we said earlier, if we weren't going sailing, what would we do? All crowded in the bar, all crowded at home, which is much more high risk.
Yeah, and the 10 o'clock spilling out onto the streets isn't ideal, but there we go.
So it's best to get people out, spread out in this sort of environment. Okay, so that leads on to training on your own, John.
One of the questions I get asked a lot is how do you know that you're improving when you're training on your own? And it's sort of a hard question to answer. The first thing I would say is that you've got the facilities now to look at YouTube videos and things like that of really good practice from the top people in the sport. I know Marit, who won the Europeans, she's got a lot of videos out there, and then you can compare how close your technique is to the role models. But also, I thought about this a lot, and I think the nature of the sport, we know when we do a good jibe because the boat comes out in a straight line, going fast, everything feels unloaded. And you think, yeah, that was a good jibe. And when it's not such a good jibe because maybe the main sheet got caught around the back, or worst case scenario, you end up going for a swim. I mean, that's an extreme example. But, just have a training diary. You can rate yourself on a particular skill from 1 to 10. And then hopefully when we review it, as the months go by, you were 6 out of 10, you're now 8 out of 10. And then you can focus on another specific training point. And I think training on your own, it's a really good thing. Because you can go out and focus on what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
I'm a bit emotional about the next slide.
Yeah. It will come up. There we go. Oh no, I'm going to press too many buttons there.
It was so good it disappeared.
No,
I've
right,
just
there we go.
got to say how incredibly proud I am of these three guys. So that's Elle in the middle. A lot of people will know he's going to be our UK representative at the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo. He's also now the European champion. On his left is Lorenzo. I did an interview with him and somebody said they really liked the interview I did with the Italian sailor. I was trying to think who they were talking about. Of course, they were talking about Lorenzo, who's a proud Scot. So he was third, and he was also the last European champion 2019. And actually, Nick Thompson, who's been working with Chris Gowers at this event and must have been no small part of this, he's another previous European champion. But I was so happy for Enzo as well, because really bad back problems, 6 days training, and boom, won the first 2 races, bronze medal. Yeah. And please don't forget Mickey. That's on the right of Elliot. I always struggle to take his photo. He never seems to look at me, but I'm pretty sure going into the last day, he was leading the regatta, and he's just a superb sailor, and almost any other country will be going to Olympic Games. But I'm so happy for these lads because they just show the power of working together as a group. It's very tempting, whether you're a club sailor or an elite sailor, not to help those around you to defend your position at the top and keep that pecking order. But this shows if you work together, everybody goes up, everybody goes in the right direction. And just to see the Brits lock out the podium, that was something very special. And it might not happen again in in the laser class in my lifetime. We saw it at Princess Sophia a few years ago with the Finn class, but I think when we look at the lasers and the European Championships, it's hard to overstate what a special moment that was. So very proud
Yeah.
of you guys.
And it was nice that they all felt so proud for each other, and I guess it didn't matter who won in the end, really.
Well, when I did the interview, I had to drag them away from their beers. I felt very bad because we obviously do the interview outside, and they're just wearing t-shirts. So that's a photo I got of them at prize giving. There would have been an even better one after Nick Thompson had showered them with champagne, but they ran out the way very quickly, and I wasn't quick enough. But yeah, they did such a good job, and you can see it was a tough regatta from the scores, any high scoring regatta to get there. And that they worked really hard, both Elliot and Mickey on the water for the last 6 months, and Lorenzo in the gym.
Yeah.
To get back just in time.
Yeah. So lots to be learnt from these big regattas, and good they're still going.
Yeah, well, I work with multiple Olympians, and even those guys, you're learning or relearning from these regattas. That's why we need to do them all the time. And I would just encourage other people just to do the regattas. You're always going to get something from doing them, and it keeps you sharp, keeps you focused. And Tula, the Finnish girl I coach, I think she'd forgotten just how much she enjoyed and looked forward to regattas. It was back like when she was a young sailor 10-15 years ago, and couldn't wait to get out there and get racing. And I think the fleets in the Olympic classes are now so close. You need that practice sailing, boat to boat, that you probably don't get sailing at home. So I think there's a place for everything, and I was just buzzing to be on the water again.
Yeah, and great, as we say, it's going on. So I think we're probably drawing to a close now, John. Okay.
Yeah, so onwards and upwards. The next webinar, we're going to be looking at meeting the classes. So that's definitely bringing it back home to the UK. We can look at what the situation has been for some of the classes over the year, what they managed to do, what they didn't manage to do, and what they're doing now. And I think now is time for the multi-class racing. So it's time to meet the classes.
I think it's good time to look back. It's been a mixed bag. I think some classes have had a lot of events. Perhaps more by luck than anything else, and some classes have struggled to perhaps even get any events. And I think it's good to reflect on that and see how we can all work together to help everyone out.
Exactly. And just to people at home, please remember to like, share and follow the Facebook. And also, if you subscribe to the John Emmett Sailing YouTube channel, so you'll get notifications. This is going to be an ongoing thing. We really do welcome your comments, and looking very much forward to the next show. Stay safe and keep sailing.
Okay.